Hello, beautiful beings, and welcome back to Inspired Awakening. This is episode, I believe episode 20 of Inspired Awakening, and it's a very cozy vibe today. And I was feeling like there's something that I've been wanting to do on Inspired Awakening that I've just been waiting for the perfect cozy season. But now I've got my cozy blanket, my cozy robe, my cozy mug. I have incense of sandalwood going on this side, and this is the perfect time to get some insight into my channeled books. It's very much a cold or cool rainy day, and it feels like sitting down with a book and reading and really starting to uncover something new. So let's start with book one. I had this idea months ago, and now by the time this video comes out, it'll be early March. So it's been, I've had this idea for about 5 months, cooking in the oven and just waiting for the perfect time, and now is the perfect time. So I have multiple copies of my book, but my first one, this is the one that I took to fairs and I used the most, and there is wear and tear that is visible because it has been everywhere with me. That's the copy I used the most. So this is what it looks like in the back. It's more of a booklet because the shape of it is because of the pictures in it. Because it's the untold true story of the Elfian realm. This is the introduction of the Elfian realm. So it is unfortunate that humans do not know the truth about the Elfian realm. The elves' stories have been miscommunicated for ages, resulting in people forgetting the truth. Elves were created from the flower of inspiration to inspire humanity, to spread positivity, and to aid mankind and their spiritual journey. The Elfian realm has been working beyond the veil to help humanity reach the new golden age. Now, in this direct channeling, the Elfian realm gets to step out from beyond the veil and communicate their true story. So that is about the book. And then about me, oh wow, this is definitely a few years ago. I think around the time that I am recording this, it would be 3 years since I published this. So yeah, what I wrote was, while growing up, Kastalia would often connect to the Elfian realm. She could clearly see and hear them and felt safe in their presence. However, as she grew older, she suppressed her ability. In recent years, she received a vision of her Elfian spirit guide, Elfian traveler guide, ascension guide, calling her to reconnect and begin her life's mission as the Elfian realm communicator. And I published this with Babola Press, a division of Hay House. The only reason I did that was because I wanted to publish cards with Hay House, which I have tried to do. I have created tarot cards, or oracle cards, I guess. They're more of oracle cards. I have created them, and I've tried to get them published multiple times with no success. So, and I've tried with Hay House, multiple times with no success. So we will find out what I'm going to end up doing with that eventually, but that's why I decided to publish with Babola Press, which I kind of partially regretted because when I published the second one with Amazon, it was an easier process, but I also wouldn't have been able to publish the one with Amazon if I hadn't have gone through the Babola process. And these are both print on demand books, so you would get them on demand. They're not stored in a warehouse. I could, if I bought a lot of these and I knew they were gonna sell and I had them stored in a warehouse, that I would have a little bit more control over the price and over certain things. I kind of gave up some control of things when I chose Babola, but that's okay because it was meant to get out there, and I love it. Wow, I can really see how much I've used this book. So with the second one, I'll introduce them both. I literally just decided to sit down and do this. I have no plan. We're just gonna go with it. So this is the second one. And this is I did through Amazon, and these are both available on Amazon, and I'll have the links so you can buy them on Amazon in the description. I mean, this one's really nice to have because of the images, like to physically have it, but also you can have like the Kindle version, but then you get to like actually physically have the artwork of the Elfian realm, which is channeled art. So is the cover of this, and this all the art is channeled by G. Tina, which is the artist name that the Healer of Spirit went under, Christina, if you have met her in the holistic fairs that we used to do in Wisconsin. So we had the images everywhere. So this one also, same sort of thing, except this is more glossy. This is more of like a matte finish, which I really like. So this is channeled text, inspired evolution of the Elfian realm. My only copy I have of this book. My only copy. I wish that I would have bought more and like had them for sale at holistic fairs. I just didn't think about that, so I just always had it on display. But I really like it. It's the inspired evolution of the Elfian realm. So while this one's more of like an introduction, this is like more of a deep dive. And again, these are more of booklets. Like they're not like thick books. But they do have a lot of really nice information. And what I like about both of them is they're printed in color, so you can see the images and see what they look like. This one has more graphs in it. I didn't have anything written on the back because it's ordered off of Amazon Kindle Direct. So like you can order a physical copy, or you can, if you're part of the Kindle Direct, it's part of like the option of free books. That's how I did the publishing. So there is nothing on the back, nothing written on the back. I don't even know if I could select an option for that, but I didn't want to because like you can see the image, and that's like the golden water path. And this one, if I put something on the back, what I would have said is that this is what inspired this book was my experience of going through I haven't like really looked at it. This was 2 years ago I published this one. And I was trying to get my cards published last year, so I had something published each year. That was like my goal, but it didn't happen. It's okay. It'll work out. That this is because of what I experienced when I was in the astral plane, invited to an ascension celebration. And from that point, I was like, I want to understand more about this. I want to understand more about the ascension of humanity. I want to understand more about the ascension of the Elfian realm. Like, I am curious about it, and I know I'm not the only one. So, at first, I was writing my experience with it. Really, I published this book on like a random day. And I don't remember much about it. Like, I mean, I feel like because I referenced this one so much, I remember, but I honestly, because it's also channeled, so like I don't really know what's in it. Like I'm like noticing like the human things. Like, oh, how did I miss some capitalization here? Like, I'm noticing the human things, which is not important. But yeah, this one, it was inspired by that experience. And I mentioned the experience in this book. It's all channeled. I believe the whole thing is channeled. But it's because I experienced attending an Elfian Ascension celebration. And the Ascension celebrations are talked about in this book, that I know. And they talk, like, there's stuff about the Atlantean Age. There's stuff about the different types of beings, like the huntress beings, the warrior beings, or solar and lunar beings. And like this one's really fun. So I wanted to give insight into these books. So I'm like, do I read them? I don't think I'm gonna have time to do that, because like while I say they are booklets, if I were to sit down and read both of them, that would be hours. It would be hours. So I'm not gonna do that, but I will give insight, kind of talk about it. This is what I wanted to do. I also just want to flip through it, because like I don't flip through them that often. And it's very interesting, because so this one I published in February of 22, This one I published in May of 23, and I was planning for at the end of 24 to have my cards published. But it is what it is. We'll get there one day. One day eventually. Maybe I'll write something else. Maybe I'll do another channel text. I've talked to them about it, but I spent the most of 2024 creating courses. So we'll see. So let's start with the first one. To give more insight. I love them. They're so cool. They're so cool to me. Like what it was like channeling them, I think would like be the main thing. And what it was like automatic writing, kind of. But it was something different. Like with this one, it was like automatic writing, but it wasn't. It was like I was activating like clairaudience and typing, and there's like the sense of knowing. And what happens, and I recently went back to that state when I wrote a series of blogs that is like connecting to each domain. That's like literally a fraction of what each domain is explained in this book, like a fraction, like the most simplified summary. But I wrote a series of blogs that will like continue to come out well into the year. Like I think that up until August there'll be one each month for each of the domains, and I got back into that state when I channeled those blogs where it comes through me as it is, and for some of them it's like voice typing, and then I go through and I edit it like myself using my like writing skills that I have in this lifetime. And with others, it's just like a download of information, and it would be like I would do a meditation, or I would go into Reiki, and if I could tap back into that time in my life when I was like in the zone all the time. I've been trying to tap into that energy, and it's a little bit difficult because it was the beginning of my journey. So I was like tapped and tuned in, and I was like invested, and now I've been doing this for so long that it's like it is like second nature. But sometimes there is that lack of excitement because I've been channeling for a long time, so it kind of you start to lose that excitement until something like new happens, which is like, oh wow, that's a new experience, but it doesn't happen often. It's like sometimes it would be with voice typing, so I'd be like voice typing the channeling, or I would like voice memo it, and then I would type myself like what I channeled, or it'd be like a download where they would come to me and say, I'm going to download information. I would actually have it where during that time, because I was asking for it, when I would be in Reiki healing states, and I would be in those like meditative states, my guides would come to me at the end of each like healing session, and they'd say, okay, now it's time for you to take your downloads. And that would be like downloading information, downloading healing. And during that time, it was like open. Like my channel was open. And it just was so easy to just like be sitting in my living room and like writing, and it flow through me. Like I would start the first few words. Like I would think, okay, how is you would like start a like article basically, like how do you start it? I'd format it, like format the headings, format this, format that, format how I wanted like the chapter to be, and I would start with like the little introductions of like this is what I like from my human brain know, and then it would just download through me, and it would be like go time. And what was very interesting is with this one, I was learning as I was channeling, so I was like, oh, I need to understand what's going on. So I know it was with the Elfian healers specifically. I was like, oh, I really had no idea how like deep everything goes. And with the cosmic Elfian elementals, where they talk about the timing, like the divine timing, and the different ages of humanity, like the way that they label ages of humanity and why they label the ages that way. And yeah, wow. Like I'm even as I'm flipping through, I don't connect to, or like the names, like this is like the introduction. So as time has gone on, I kind of have forgotten like the nitty gritty little details. And just like the structure of it all. And I remember when I received the last download of the book, I already had submitted it to the publisher, and they said we need to fix something, we need to add something, like, can you do it? And it was after I did a meditation, and I was like, okay, I gotta do it, I gotta do the change now. And I went in and I did the change, and it was during the cosmic Elfie and Elemental section, because they're never done sharing things, but this was a project, but it happened, it came through me so quickly, like within a few months, it came through me. This one I spent like way more time on, and I think it's because I was distracted with so many other things in my life. But during this time with this book, I was only doing this, and I feel like maybe that's where I've reached issues with doing a book like this again, is because I do have so many other things going on that it would take longer, and it would take longer like in this setting. And I would love to do a longer channel text, but like when they're done sharing what they have to share, they're done. Like there is nothing more I can add. If they're done, they're done. And that's why they're like shorter, but actually if you flip through them, there is a lot of information. Even though they're like smaller, they're not like a big hefty book, but they don't need to be. That's just how the elves talk. And now they're getting more concise, or they're getting more specific with the way that they are sharing things. So I wonder if I wonder, I keep feeling like I spent forever on the cards, and I mean I spent a year and a half, and it's just sitting there in a drive. All the information, all of the channeled artwork is just sitting in a drive, and I need to do something with it. I just don't know what, because the way that I went about to go publishing it didn't work. But they told me that's the thing, you do these 2 books, you do that. Who knows? Trust divine timing, yeah. Subject to change ages and concrete ages. That's what I was thinking about. That was the most interesting thing to learn about with this book, was like the names that they have for the ages, and like how the earth goes through periods of time. I didn't even remember, I'm like reading it and I don't remember much of it, you know, because it downloaded through me and I learned it, and I retained that they have names for the ages, like what they call them, but I didn't retain much more. And with the earthy and Elfie and elementals, they just assume that I know things, or they would assume that I know things. So they wouldn't explain things in as many details as I would have liked. But what was really nice is that I was kind of told, like, if someone has a question, they will ask, and I did have someone come to me about this book and have questions, and I wish I remembered all the questions because I would talk about them. But like one big thing about the structure of this is they went in order of ascension, like in order of how they ascended after the fall of Atlantis, like the elders who I was channeling. And it's like just to think about that period of time. And they each channeled 2 sections, like something about them and their domains, and then something like to help us. So that's also something I really love. I'm just like in in awe of it. I love it. I mean, it took time, but like it was like every day I was sitting and I was working on this nonstop. Like this was like my full focus. But just like the way that I broke it up and I explained, like I did my introduction, my conclusion, the way they guided me through this, like I'm thinking about it now, like I wouldn't have known if I were to go in, and I've tried to write other books. Like I want to write a series of novels that are like spiritual fiction of like the journey going through life and the awakening journey, but it's like it's a fictional story based in truth, like based in my own experiences and my own memories, based on memories I have of past lives, based on what I've experienced in healing and in the astral realm, like based in things that like I've experienced as a soul, but told all as one story. And the way that this is structured, I've struggled to do this on my own in a non-channeled setting, and they just guided me through it. It's very, very interesting with this one, very interesting. I don't know what insights to give. I feel like what I will probably do and what I'm going to do is open it up to three random pages, and those are the pages that like need the most insight at this time, because I'm not feeling like I want to channel like directly. Let's see, because this is how I would do at fairs. I started by using this as a tool to help me when doing readings, to kind of guide me on what elf wanted to come through. So let's see. It's almost always the healer. So the Elfian source, oh no, this is the, yeah. So the section that I opened to was Human Healer's Connection to the Elfian Realm. And this section, the head healer, the head Elfian healer, talks about the different types of healers and how they work with the Elfian realm and different types of souls. And the quote, like, and the quote on page 54, that is from the Elfian source, which is just like the source energy from the Flower of Inspiration, like our source energy from the Tree of Life, basically. Just like fancy names, fancy acronyms for things. Like their actual soul name isn't even Elfian. Elfian's like an acronym for their soul name. A lot of things are simplified. A lot of things are influenced from like higher realms on how humans can handle and interpret things. Even the way their image appears is influenced by the time of Atlantis, because that's what we remember. So they take on this like image in their soul to reflect like parts of their soul in something like that looks tangible for us to understand, that would normally just show as a soul mark on just like a, you know, being, but it takes form, and it's the same with other beings. But this specific quote, I feel like comes up a lot. I haven't read it in a long time, so this is like a direct quote of a channeled message. So starting from here: we are just one piece of the puzzle. We are just one story out of the masses of stories. We are the Elfian realm born from the Flower of Inspiration. The physical realm is not all there is, and the universe is not all that it seems. It is up to you as an individual to seek more, to learn about your soul's origins, to learn the truth of the universe. Your physical history is an illusion meant to distract from the infinite truth of the universe. Be a truth seeker, and once you discover the truth, be a truth speaker. The time for metaphors is done, and it is time for clarity beyond physical comprehension. We adore all of you more than you could ever imagine, and if you just open your mind and heart to remember your soul's truth, you may just remember that you adore us too. We believe in all of you, no matter what you have done in this life. We believe you can be the generation to birth the next golden age. Our entire realm supports you and loves you unconditionally. First, always feel warm and fuzzy when I read that. Second, what he means by the divine masculine source means by we will be to birth the next golden age doesn't necessarily mean that we will be here for it. It doesn't mean that like our physical, like this physical incarnated version of us will be here for it, but that we will start the birth of it, which I think is this very like common misconception that it's going to happen in our lifetime and this incarnation. It's entirely possible, but we are a part of birthing it, so we will incarnate in it. More than likely in the next lifetime we will incarnate in it. It's just not, it's the birth of it, not that it is happening. It's happened and we're in it. The birth of it will take a long time. And that's something that the elves talk about later, like in the time period section. I don't know if I could find like the exact quote. I don't know. I'm in the time section. Okay, so this is quoted from the Cosmic Elfian Elemental Elder. Fret not, because not too long after, the Silver Age reaches infancy. That is where we are now, the transition to divine feminine control. Earth is now reaching the peak of the Silver Age, where the divine feminine ruling is happening. The Silver Age does not mean that the Earth already is in a divine feminine ruling, just that the Earth is transitioning, and the Silver Age will not end with the divine feminine gaining control. The Silver Age tends to be a long age because all the cycles not broken from the past are broken during this age. Places and people making completely different choices than those who came before them, clearing the ley lines. I can speak from personal experience that seeing a golden age rise is a beautiful thing. It is the world peace that humanity searches for, except it is not world peace. It is the collective realizing that they are not alone in the universe and returning home to the pure positive polarity. It is happening. It is coming soon. Who knows? Maybe you will get to witness it. How fast it comes is up to you, all sitting waiting for better days. You can make the better days by simply shifting your energy to higher dimensions and living and breathing pure spirit and positivity. So that kind of gives a little bit more clarity to it, because nothing is written in stone yet. Next, I'm going to open to another section of the book, and I'll do two more for the insights. So just like a random section, because we got some really nice clarity from the cosmic domain and from the source. Let's see. I was flipping. That doesn't count. Okay. Okay. Okay, well this is also from the source of the Elfian realm, so, okay. It just says to, I think this is the Elfian source energy, and this is like genuinely what the beings would look like for the most part. The only reason why there's like different colored solar energy is because that's a soul mark of one of them's this is a soul mark of the divine masculine. Oh, I don't know if you can, I'm looking at it, I don't know if you can see it. So the lighter one is the soul mark of the divine, oh no, this one, the orange one, is the soul mark of being a divine masculine. And the yellow one is the soul mark of a source. So divine masculine, creator, energy, and then source, soul mark, that looks like eyes, but it's technically not what they are, because this is a soul mark that would just like, if it was on a physical body, the soul mark would be like here, more so than there. But that's what it looks like. And then the ear shape of the being, like of the soul, is a representation of the eternal flower of inspiration. So the eternal plantation energy. That's like a beating light energy. It's also on the cover of this one. that is the frequency of inspiration, where it stems from, and the source is a being that is coming out of that energy that creates more beings that originally all really, and their nature look like this. And like we as humans, our soul would look kind of like this, but a little bit different, having soul marks that look like light orbs, kind of like this, just like all around, telling the story of our soul. And we wouldn't have like the ear shapes. It would look a little bit different, but kind of just like a energy, a being. So at the end of his section, before the flower of inspiration, which is here. So, oh, you know what? I'm gonna read this section right here. Right, I'm gonna read this one. So this is quoted from the Elfian source. I removed a petal from the flower and sent it with the elf of the idea to Earth. The elf of the idea is the Elfian gnome Joybringer elder who had the idea of wanting to change the way that the beings of inspiration spread inspiration in regards to joy. So he placed it in a field, and from that field, so this is like right after, maybe it would have helped to have read the sentence, the previous section for more clarity, but it was like right as the earth was falling from the Atlantean age, while the veil was still very thin and there was still like tangibility to their energy, like physical tangibility that doesn't exist anymore, but it did right before like Atlantis fully fell, went and placed a portal. So all higher beings went and placed a portal to their realm on Earth, so that humans would have an ability to connect to, you know, the frequency of inspiration, the frequency of knowledge, the frequency of truth, that are located kind of all around the same general region of the world. Like, in Asia there are portals, Europe, I mean there's portals all over, but like the portal for knowledge and truth are in the Asia continent. The beings of truth and the beings of knowledge. So they all created a portal. So this is about their portal being created, and a spring grew, the spring of inspiration, that is the spring known as the fountain of Kastalia and Kastalia Springs in Delphi, Greece. So that is a true statement. And I always knew that I was named after the fountain of Kastalia, and it was like, it had inspiration qualities. She was, in the mythology, the Greek mythology, the nymph of creativity and poetry, and playwrights and authors and writers and poets used to go and drink the water from the spring to gain inspiration during ancient times, and that's like more of a fact, not a myth. So that's something I always knew. And when I started like channeling, and I asked, I was like, so where is the portal? And they're like, oh, you don't remember? It's like, oh, so I did a past life regression where I was told in the past life regression where the portal to the Elfian realm was, because I discovered it in a past life. And that's why I am able to do this in this lifetime, because of a past life contract. So that's when I discovered that. And it was around the same time that I was channeling this, when I had that past life regression, this specific section, which I also channeled this book completely out of order. Like, I mean, it's organized in the order of like how they ascended after the fall of Atlantis, like the elders, but, and how like the domains were formed, which ones were originally there, and so on. But I channeled everything out of order. It was just whoever came to me and whatever was flowing through me. The flower of inspiration energy is vital to our survival, for the elves were always intended to inspire humanity. Yes, the purpose changes as golden status earths come and go, but inspiration is at the core of everything we do. The Creator created the flower of inspiration, I was born from it, and the Elfian realm was born from me. So kind of what I was explaining, he explained it, maybe we should have just read it. There is a petal in every elf, as you will soon learn, I'm like kind of skipping ahead. There is a petal in every elf, As you will soon learn, inspiration is more than it seems, as are we. So that's the section, Flower of Inspiration, which this is like, that's what's on all the stickers that I have. It's on my business card. If you have met me at fairs or watched like the feng shui with me, where I think I show my stickers and the business cards and all the things I have, it's the tablecloth that I'm not gonna go and pull down and open because it's like, it's huge. But if you saw us at holistic fairs when we lived in the Midwest in the United States and did holistic fairs, you have seen it. It is everywhere. It's a flower of inspiration, and it's beautiful. So that's that section. Wait, I saw something I wanted to read before moving on to that, the third part. I will leave you, so this is still in the flower of inspiration section. I leave you with a gift from the flower, an affirmation to find your inspiration. So this is page 15. So if you have the book or you go and you buy the book, I think maybe on the Kindle version or the ebook version it might be a little bit different, but physical copy, 15. I'm calling on the flower, here's the affirmation. I'm calling on the flower of inspiration to shine her light on me. I ask her to place before me a petal path leading to my soul's true inspiration. I leave behind the desires of the ego. I leave behind the desires of the physical form. I'm ready to hear my soul's inspiration, calling purpose and mission. I am ready and willing to listen to the guidance of the flower, for I believe in every fiber of my being that it will show me the way, it will show me how my true inspiration will benefit me and all others. That warms my heart. It warms my heart. It warms my heart. So yeah, he also mentions in this section the order of the stories that the elves are sharing, is in the order of their ascension, starting with the elf with the idea was the first, and the last was the last true Elfian Gaia assistant, so assistant to Gaia, which is the Earthian Elfian elemental elder. That's in like our dimensional reality. That's something that would take a very long time to like go through and explain all of that. You might just have to like read the book for that. But after the fall of Atlantis, there was a lot of changes in every realm. We all experienced different things, and there was loss of souls, and those souls, from my understanding, are trying to go through, the ones that were lost and during the fall are trying to go through ascension in a different way, in the negative polarity, and they're trying to fight their way out of the negative polarity. And when there are massive like celestial events, if they've passed certain tests, will have the ability to like come back to light. So there are they almost lose their light entirely and became negative entities, and that's from all realms, including humanity, who lost souls, who, if they are aware of it, will start to fight for the light. But if they're not, they just kind of stay lost. And the biggest lesson I learned from channeling this book was from the Cosmic Elfian Elemental Elder about not sacrificing your soul. I can't remember if it's actually in this book or if it's in this one. I actually think it's in this book, but I think he mentions it in this one. But in this book, it is highlighted, that sentiment. I know it has to be mentioned in this one. It's definitely mentioned in both. Because the reason he experienced his ascension was because there was the elves he was around wanted to sacrifice their souls to save the lost souls of humanity who were falling, and they wanted to help, and in that help they got lost as well, because it was just a massive fall of not just humanity, of everything, like a massive fall. So that's why it's called a fall. Like, it wasn't necessarily like, not like it wasn't a physical fall, but it was like there was loss. And that Elfian elder wanted to go after those souls and stop them, but realized that maybe it's better to stay back. And there was a lot of, it was very interesting to witness that being shared, because they showed me the visual of that experience of realizing that someone you love is sacrificing themselves to save someone else, and you want to go and save them too, but you don't know how, and you feel guilty because you watch them get lost, and you don't think that you deserve to be where you are because you watch someone lose themselves and you feel like you could have done something. And seeing that, and seeing higher beings were experiencing that feeling during the fall of Atlantis, watching everything kind of change. And it seems drastic, like a drastic change when I was shown the visuals of it. But when I was channeling it from them and I was inquiring about it, it seemed sudden because of the way that I as a human being perceive time. But in the way that divine timing actually flows, it was a little bit more gradual. But as we as humans perceive time, it was bam, it fell. It was like a crash and fall. But like seeing that, knowing that that's something that we all experience, it's in our spiritual makeup, that there is that feeling of knowing that the souls we loved were lost, and we have to heal that, and we're still witnessing that in the physical, where souls may choose to be lost. And there's something that I feel like I started to notice now, is that I feel like some of the souls who continually keep on getting lost in every lifetime, maybe it is the fact that they are the souls that got lost during the Atlantean Age. And we are repeating the cycle of being the ones who watched them, and they continue making that decision. And maybe some of us are the people who tried to save them and got lost as well. And we fought so hard to find ourselves now in our journey of our soul that we're reliving that, because everything that happened during the fall of Atlantis, it's coming up again now, because it's all a test. If we don't pass it, we don't reach the golden age until we do. So that's also another thing where, like, I know it's been communicated by other people stating that, but when I look at it and I'm channeling these beings and I'm seeing it, it's like it's very clear that we are being tested, and that we're being tested with the experimentation, we're being tested with things, and if we don't pass the test, it's not gonna happen overnight, and we have to overcome the experimentation. We have to overcome those things of sacrificing ourselves to save someone. We have to break the patterns that aren't just ancestral, aren't just Akashic, that like go back to the deep nature of how the earth is the way that it is now. Like what caused the fall. That is what we're healing, and it is showing up in our personal lives. But the more that we take the active steps to heal it, we are helping clear that, but it's on a deeper level, and the earth still needs to heal from what happened, because after the fall happened, chaos continued to happen. So there's so much healing to be done as well, and the earth can't do it on its own. It needs our help. And it starts with, us doing it in our lives, because those tests are coming. And even if we didn't experience the Atlantean Age as a soul, maybe some of our souls are newer or just elected not to incarnate in the Atlantean Age. We are humans, and we come from the same source. Therefore, it is all of our wounds. It is our burden to bear as all of us. Just because our soul did something different, or we have a different purpose that makes it seem like it's higher, it's not. It's not, because at the end of the day, we're humans, and we're carrying it. We're carrying it as humans. And once we start healing within ourselves, and if we feel like you feel like you're healed, you're never done healing, because there's still so much to heal from a humanity level, from a beings of life level. And eventually, one day when I feel like I have healed things enough in myself, I would know that it's part of the trajectory of my life and life as a human being who is aware to start working to heal things on a collective level. And if that means that I have to experience things in my life, and maybe that is the reason why I've experienced some things in my life that just don't make sense why I'm experiencing it. If I have to experience those things in my life to offer healing to those situations, to those cycles, to those circumstances, to break cycles on behalf of humanity, not necessarily from my own akashicness, akashic lineage as a soul, but on a collective level, I know that that's a responsibility that I have as a being of life. And actually saying that out loud is making some things very clear, that sometimes you feel like you've broken a cycle in your own life, so like, why am I still experiencing this? We've got to break it multiple times so it breaks for humanity. It makes sense because we're all connected. I think that's why I'm only opening to pages of the source or messages from the source to bring kind of insight into this book, because we have to remember we all have that same source the way that they do. And what's very interesting is about when I specifically channeled this one and this one too, maybe more, I would say more so this book as opposed to this one. In general, because they're so connected, because they don't have a physical form, because they are just higher beings beyond the veil, they are connected to that one source, they're connected to their source, and they know, they're like, well, I don't know this, so I'm going to pass it over to an elf that does know, or I'm going to ask them and they're going to tell me, and I'm going to channel it through you. And I experience that feeling when channeling, where when they don't know something, and if you've ever had a reading with them, in channeled videos, I ask the question, I ask who wants to come through and answer it. They know that they can answer that question. They know they can speak on that topic, so they come through. And if they know that there's going to be needing to be more insight from another one, there's a heads up given. But in like readings that I give with people, they will say it. They'll say, I don't know the answer to this. I'm only a being of this. Let's see who wants to come through. So that is a very normal occurrence that they know, and because they have that connection and that channel open. And if we open up to it too, we can have that connection with our human counterparts. I think it's kind of feeling like all the insight I can give into this book. It's mainly them explaining their domains, and it's just very fascinating. Oh, this is the Elfian Animal Healer. It's just very fascinating to learn because they share their story, but their story is like summarized, and it's mainly the story of their domains. Like this is like the aftermath of the Atlantean Age. Like, what are they now in the present moment? This is everything leading up to the present moment. I channeled this first because this opened the understanding to understand this one. So now I'm going to flip through this one. Let's see, because I felt like I did the most, like I said, I feel like I did the most of that one. So let's start getting some insight into this one. There. Okay, I flipped to, this is page 22. I don't know where I want to read. Ooh. Okay, so whose section is this? This is Assistance to Gaia. That starts on page 21, and it is channeled by the last Elfian assistant to Gaia, last Elfian assistants to Gaia. Should just say assistant. Yeah. God, no. I noticed some like typo thingies in the other book, but this one just stands out to me a little bit more. I think because I haven't flipped through it as often, so I haven't accepted the typos. Okay, but in this section, the Earthian Elfian Elemental Elder is the last assistant to Gaia, Elfian assistant to Gaia. So she gives a quote, if they could venture off independently. So, okay, I'm going to read it because this is very interesting. After the fall, they realized. All right. No, I have to read like so much. Okay. In the beginning, the assistants to Gaia were more passive observers. So, yes, because it's a little different. For the cosmic Elfian elementals, there's a specific title of what they were. Okay. Wait a minute. We're getting the insight. And Cosmic Guardian. Yes, okay. So the Cosmic Guardians were the ones that they did the soul sacrifices and that there was only one left. And this situation, with the assistants to Gaia, it's a little bit different. So in this Elfian Elder situation, how she became an elder isn't because of the soul sacrifice story, because that's specific to the Cosmic Elfian Elemental Elder. Yes. It's like clicking and I'm remembering now. But okay. So once the Earth ascended to a new golden status, they started to do more. During the first golden age, they discovered that being... Okay. Because this book goes through the different golden ages. Up to Atlantis, and then I believe it's until after. Because then there's the assistants to the elders, and there's the time of legend, the age of communicators, and the whole experience of everything leading up to this point in time. Yeah, the Son of the Golden Christed Son, assistance to the elders. There's like the actual image. Yeah, so it is actually genuinely going through the evolution of their realm from their creation, actually just sharing their story. Because they're beings of inspiration, they are very much like, they can be very storytelling. Like, they like to share. They like to explain who they are, what they do, because that's the type of relationship we had with the Elfian realm in the Atlantean Age, is this sharing of stories, sharing of lessons, and we have this eternal loving friendship with them. There is this sense of equality, even though they are higher beings. And we have our Elfian Traveler guides, our Ascension guides. So we have the one elf that works with us, but we actually have more than one, because we also have a Joybringer that oversees us, and there's always a Guardian of the Veil around us. And so there are ones that we develop that deep connection to, and it's because of that relationship between beings of life and beings of inspiration that is very deep, and they're very conscientious of our free will. They've been very conscientious of when we are ready. They have been very conscientious of observing us and trying to help, and there is that wanting to exchange knowledge, and they have been observing us for so long and learning things from us that now they have so much that they want to share. And so there is so much of them wanting to share their stories with us too, and that's what these books are, is that sharing, because they have received that. All, higher beings are all watching us, but we're not watching them because we're incarnating in the physical. So to learn about them, we have to seek that, which is very interesting. So back to reading this section. They discovered that the elements had much to share and needed assistance in completing their missions. They realized that Gaia needed more from them, so their purposes were renewed when the earth fell. For the first time, more like they finally understood their purpose. For the first time, they finally understood their purpose. This is because during the Golden Age, they were not isolated. They were not as isolated. They got to connect with other realms and humanity for the first time. So this is the first. So the assistants, and there was a group of the assistants to Gaia. Many else were no longer assistants to Gaia. Oh! It's because I'm like reading, I'm like, wow, it's like I'm learning it for the first time. This is how I know that what came out of me know, like, I didn't filter it. I don't even know if I retained all of it, because all of the earthy and Elfian elementals started as assistants to Gaia. That is what I'm reading. Which is because I like the quote, that I wanted to read the quote, but to read the quote I have to give background to it. Yeah, so then they were like becoming elementals, and some stayed assistants to Gaia, and then it just like, it kept changing. So this caused a massive shift, and since so many elves are no longer assistants to Gaia, the source created what she calls her soul siblings and her. What soul siblings refer to, this is also an interesting topic because we all have soul siblings that aren't necessarily even souls soul siblings are different. It's souls that were created in the same instance as you, from the same source energies as you. So it's not a soulmate. So basically, because of how we are as humans, we have that where they are beings of inspiration, and they have little things sprinkled in them too. We're kind of like that. So we're beings of life, and we have other things sprinkled in us too. What makes soul sibling versus soulmate is about the instant you were born as a soul, where you were created and what you were created for. Because soulmates are created as one and split in two, and in that same instance there are other ones that are split in two that would be like soul siblings. But that's for us as humans. Elfian realm doesn't have soulmates, so they're just one and one. We go through the being one and being split in two. It's as humans, as beings of life, and it's kind of in the Bible. There's the Adam, and then Eve was made from Adam. In how our souls are created, that is a true fact. I've like been shown the visual of it, and I see it clearly now too. And I'm remembering now when I was channeling this one, because this one was more of like a deep download. Like, I was sitting in nature. I would go into specific spaces and specific areas of the home, different ones for each of the elders. It was a very specific experience. This one was more specific, and it was a different kind of excitement, and a lot of it was spent in nature, and I did a lot of it in the spring. During the winter I just stopped. Like, I wasn't able to like channel this until springtime, because I started in September of 2023 when I had the experience of the Ascension celebration, and then I ended up talking about the Ascension. So I felt like the Ascension celebration was talked about in this book. It is not. I will link, it's like the third Inspired Awakening I did. I talked about it. So that's why I'm feeling like I wrote it, and it's because I talked about it that I'm remembering it more than what I channeled. So when with this one, I remember more because I've read quotes from it more than this one, which I should read quotes from this one more because it's so interesting. It's very, very fascinating to me, and it was very, very fascinating to channel. Like the salt lamp here, it's just adding to the cozy vibes. It's really warm. My hands are cold. But so now let me read the quote. So what the quote is what Angelic Mother Gaia told these elves. You always have had the ability to be more independent. You've always had the ability to. You all just chose to be close. I do not need you to be with me all the time to be an assistant to me. I need you to be out there doing your own things with the earthly realm to communicate me accurately. The mission of assistance to Gaia from all realms is to communicate on behalf of Gaia to all life in the earthly realm, using the elements and the gifts they all possess. You are beings of inspiration. It is time to discover yours. Now I'm remembering more as I'm like opening up the portals in this book from the channeling, is that's a very common theme, is within the first phase of their evolution, they were discovering what it means to be beings of inspiration. The same way in every single human being in our first incarnation, we discover what it means to be a being of life. And in every lifetime, we go through that experience. And it's very interesting because higher beings, they go through that experience too, but then once they discover it, they know. And we know, after our first lifetime, we know, but then every time we incarnate, we forget. And we spend our lives trying to discover the meaning of life when we are life. And we're trying to discover what it means to be a being of life. But we think we're searching for the meaning of life when the essence of life is us. We are life. So what we do is life. And discovering our meaning and our purpose is discovering the meaning of life for us. And everyone's meaning of life, like meaning of life for everyone, is different. Because we are individual in our essence. What makes the higher beings that don't incarnate different is while they are individual, they're still connected to that oneness. They never choose to forget. We choose to forget. So our individuality means more and is sometimes can control us more, and that's where the lower self and the egoic brain comes in, because it can have more control over us. Because we choose to forget the oneness when we incarnate. So we choose to have an ego, we choose to overcome it, we choose to remember the oneness, or not. So it's very interesting. Very, very interesting. I think that's the best insight I can give into this book. I just recommend reading it, and I feel like I might just like sit down and read it myself, because it's the whole story. And they each have 2 sections in this one as well, each of the elders, but it's their stories. And even the source, it's his story. It's not, this one is like explaining things to us. This one is explaining or sharing stories. So it's very fascinating. And there's like the assistants, the elders, and just how they became this, and how also our relationship with them evolved too. I recommend this one. This one is it's very fascinating, and I feel like I need to sit through and read it now. But there's graphs about the dimensional hierarchy too, and the way that the way that everything evolves, like the solar system, the universe. Like there are things that they explain things from the way that they see it, which is very interesting. So that's kind of all the insight I can give. This was really fun. Thank you for joining me on this journey, and maybe I'll do more things like this, and maybe more insight into the books, or more just like hanging out in this little cozy corner. So until next time, sending you love, light, and inspiration. I'm feeling the conclusion of the insight coming now, and I hope you are inspired to check these out and ask me any questions, and I would love to do a Q&A about these books too. So stay inspired, sending you love, light, and inspiration. Let me know what other books you want me to channel from them, and what questions you have about these books if you've read them. Goodbye for now.